is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the altar again, and this time we are here with Ice Giant. Thank you both so much for being here. It is great to have you all here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having
Great
us.
to be here, man, for sure. It's great to see you again.
Yeah,
It's been a
great.
while.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute, and like I was said, when I saw all of you at the Melodic Death Metal Festival in Brooklyn, fantastic show. I didn't hear of Ice Giant or really listen to any of you until that very festival, and I became obsessed. I was like, I need to get this band on the show ASAP. So it was so awesome to have you all here.
Hell yeah. Thank you
good
very
to know
much.
It's good to know the sweat wasn't wasted.
It definitely wasn't wasted on either end, may I add. But the Ghosts of Humanity is just absolutely kick-ass. Because even though like you were on the Melodic Death Metal Fest, I see elements of melodic death metal. I see some progressive metal, some thrash metal in there. Was there sort of like a vision going into the making of this album? Was there sort of like a preconceived idea, or was there like a lot of improvisational aspects in the songwriting?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because you named all of our like most potent influences in terms of subgenres of heavy metal. Like Eddie and I in particular, we come from listening to like freaking like we both grew up listening to like hair metal bands and like Judas Priest and shit growing up. And like, actually, sorry, can I swear on this? Is that
absolutely,
okay?
absolutely.
Cool, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But we both started with like, like 80s bands and Judas Priest and moved on to like Slayer and Pantera and all that shit. And then like, gosh, like I can only imagine the day Eddie discovered the band Death. 'Cause that is, like he brings all sorts of tasty Chuck Schuldiner influences to our music. And then, like, I absolutely adore all of the, like, Scandinavian melodic death stuff. And, like, we all do for sure. And so, like, as far as, like, a preconceived notion goes, the only thing that I can really say to that is that we just brought all of our influences to making the sound of this record. And, like, the philosophy was basically, like, okay, we're here to make heavy music. That's the only restriction. Other than that, we're just going to, like, do stuff that makes us feel good and like makes this music awesome in our opinions, and we hope other people share those opinions.
Success. I could tell you that as the reviewer. Success. Was there anything?
Hell yeah.
Was there anything you wanted to add, Eddie?
I mean, yeah, it's like when I joined the band in like 2017 and Liv had a lot of ideas already rolling, I could really pick up on those, like, all those things that Liv pointed out. So like when we began to write together and bring the rest of that album to fruition, it just felt like we had those core elements, but both the sides were able to fit together really well. And yeah, like she said, I have like a lot like some more like tech death, obscura death, things like that. And there's some like power metal influences I hadn't even discovered before that were on Liv's side. So it's like it was very comfortable to just like let all of that out, and it turns out that like the balance kind of just worked.
Yeah, it definitely did.
So.
And I could see the death influences there. When I listen to those riffs and those solos, I see the elements of symbolic, the elements of human individual thought patterns. Sound of Perseverance is my favorite Death album. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but if there's an album to end your career on, it's an album like that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would happily be on a deserted island with all of those records. So.
Of course. In terms of like the album at all, does it have any relationship to the previous self-titled album that came out before this? Because I feel like all the influences that you did say that were present on Ghosts of Humanity is also present on the self-titled as well. And Liv, I think your mic is muted, so if you wanna.
Yeah. I was just waiting. Yeah, no, for sure. I just so it's so funny you mentioned that, because like we joke all the time that like it's a completely different band, because like I technically am the only member who is still persistent from that first record. But like I'm also trans, and like before I had come out, I went by a different name, and that's when we made that record. So like legally, I am also a different person than when we made that record, and so technically that makes the entire personnel different on Ghost of Humanity, which I find very humorous. But conceptually, there's nothing really that similar. In fact, the name Ice Giant back in the first record was meant to be reflective of like the mythological creature, you know, like all the Viking stories and stuff like that. Versus on Ghost of Humanity, it's more reflective of the categorization of a type of planet. For instance, like Neptune and Uranus, those are ice giants as far as our solar system is concerned. And then, you know, Ghost of Humanity being a space album, that's more of what the name reflects in the second record. So like even the name kind of went through a bit of a metamorphosis.
Was it meant to have Pluto? Was it meant to have Pluto as part of the metamorphosis?
Oh, you know it, of course, absolutely.
I had to bring that
yeah, I would be so upset with myself if I didn't include Pluto. Oh man, but yeah, no. I think that like, you know, the lineup that we have now is just so like cohesive and like capable. Not to say that the old one wasn't, but like just, you know, like I really like, we all want to like focus on our strengths like in the here and now, and I think that made Ghost of Humanity like, you know, just like a pretty far leap from where we were from the first release. And then Eddie, like, you know, you joined pretty shortly after we had released that first one, but so you have like a pretty good idea of like how we were operating during that time.
Yeah, and like I guess it's the biggest perspective I'm having come to me is that I was able to see like where it was coming from and where it was going, and it was just like very a drastic evolution into where I was going. So like when I saw just like this first couple Ice Giant shows, I saw the strength there that could like carry on. So it's like when I heard the new riffs and like some of the ideas that were coming forth, I was like, oh yeah, this can really elevate above like a classic thrash thing, which I of course love, but classic thrash and involved with all those other styles integrated into one spot. So that like definitely excited me when I was like, I want to talk, let's talk kind of thing. So
yeah. Well, watching you play, the first thing I noticed is because this music is very technically proficient. Like it's like every note I felt like counted on it. So there's a lot of focus demonstrated. But when I saw all of you play, you got lost into the performance. Just the way that like you were kind of able to just kind of like, I don't know if maybe it was like a state of zen or something like that, but like I felt like you kind of went into another zone in a way. And when I listened to tracks such as Serenity and Darkness or Unification, Epoch, sorry if I butchered that, but like, and ending with Legacy, it feels like it is a destiny that you kind of get lost in.
Big time. And like towards the live thing, and like everyone has their different philosophies, but like I'm very happy to be in a band where all the members like love each other and we're like a family, and like so we're just going up and having fun with our friends, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think I want to have fun with everyone there. I just want to throw down. I want to sweat. I want to go for it and just have fun. And we're also lucky that we all work very hard in our preparation time to make it so that we can get together, have a rehearsal, and then boom. So like there's not extra thought into I need that cue or certain things, you know. And so we can just be super relaxed going into that, and that just beats any like kind of nerves going into it. You feel really relaxed, and just at that moment you just let go. It's like we're having fun now. So that's
in terms of a lyrical standpoint as well. What did like maybe like a conceptual idea or a lyrical meaning maybe help dictate the structure of the music as well, or was music needed before any lyrical ideas sort of came into play?
We definitely had some songs brewing, and then so that kind of helped give a vibe. And then at the time I was kind of getting into, or I had discovered Star Trek and things like that. And then I think we really wanted to say something important with the record. So it just began with envisioning all these good things that the world could be moving forward. But if we carry these certain negative aspects that are just like make people like have people suffering every day, then that's going to be poisoned that beautiful future that we can be thinking of. So that was a big like that whole journey that you're talking about, because it starts with that world that's already corrupted, and our characters get to discover a new world and a new big system where all these planets have achieved all those things, but they carry those ghosts of humanity, if you will, those negative things that society keeps perpetuating through like today, all of history and everything. And we were just, what if we could just come together and let that go and like be able to see that future that we want? So it doesn't work out too great for the characters in the story, but we literally asked the audience, is like, are we ready to do that? So
being both
the last line of the record reads, but we choose if we're lost forever, like illustrating the exact point that Eddie just made, where it's like, yeah, this could happen, but you know, it could not. And like the whole thing is rather like you know, it sort of like alludes to depleting the environment of resources and you know, using hierarchies to suppress people. It's very anti-capitalist, pro-environment, all that great stuff.
Anti-greed.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's like thrash power, progressive metal with a punk rock sort of meaning behind it. So kind of going all along the spectrum in a way. And you led me perfectly into the next question because, you know, I feel like that there's a lot of the best way to describe lyrics is, for lack of better words, it's very demonstrating. Like it's like describing something in a way where I feel like you almost paint a picture with both the lyrics and the solos in there. But is there also maybe a lot of internal sources of inspiration? Is it maybe almost coming from specific emotions that were felt or specific experiences, past, present, or in the future?
Oh man, I could go the whole interview talking about this part. But okay, so like I already mentioned, like you know, the pro environment, and okay, so let's start with that one. So I have a lot of feelings about the environment. It is apparent to me that you know, a few group of billionaires are polluting the planet and then being like, what if you guys, you know, used paper straws? Wouldn't that help? Like, okay, man. And then like the you know, like the anti-capitalist bit of it for me at least means that like, you know, we have the resources to give everybody food, everybody shelter. And like in my own city of Alston, Massachusetts, there are these disgusting luxury condos that are being put up everywhere that like aren't lived in. And like there's homeless people around everywhere, and it's like, or not everywhere, that's an exaggeration, but like there are homeless people, and it's like, why not just make these like affordable housing? Like, who needs any of this stuff? So that's, you know, like one example of where the anti-capitalist bit comes from. And then also just like as a trans person, like I am put through a lot of just like gatekeeping and like, you know, really invasive like questions and, you know, sometimes even physical procedures. And like I just like it only takes a minute to stop and understand what you're doing and why it might be better to like just be a bit more mindful in whatever you're doing. And I give all of these examples to illustrate that it breeds resentment. And so I feel like that is a really core emotion that at least I'm trying to express through Ghost of Humanity, because it's like, you know, the longer and longer we all have to deal with this, the more unrest is going to be caused, because I can't be the only one feeling these feelings. And, you know, eventually it's going to boil over, or the planet's going to die. And I don't really like either of those options. So, like, I don't know, like resentment is at least one of the emotions that I'm trying to put forth. But then also just like, I'm scared. It's disparaging to see all this stuff, and like when we could be doing better. And I just so it's like resentment, panic, just like fear in general. I'm trying to put forth all that stuff. I think, yeah.
But being that you all contribute vocally into this band as well, because again, the way that you all harmonize together, both with the guitar riffs and vocally, one thing I find what I was curious about is do you both express the same emotions on a vocal level and a guitar level? Does it express the same meaning, or is there maybe like something that the guitar solo expresses that maybe the vocals can't express, and vice versa?
You want to take that one, Eddie?
Yeah, like definitely. It's because there's a lot of examples where there's something very specific happening in the story, like Ghost of Humanity, for example. our characters have kind of made it to this new world and they've been brought into this society and welcomed and have this chance. And that is literally the point where it's like, no, there's these two factions splitting in between there where it's just at its peak. Everyone's just going against each other and splitting when it doesn't have to. And like, so like the anger and the rifts there. And maybe when that solo comes in, it's like maybe a hopeful voice, you know? So there's kind of a back and forth, almost this kind of like opera thing going on between vocals and like the guitars, as you said. So yeah, like when there's another party, like viewing our main characters, you're going to hear some more of those solos. Unification has those big harmonies where it's saying this could be the unification that we all like are looking for. We could all come together here, and that's where it's big layered harmonies, and you can feel like a lot of a voice there near the end of the record when it's clear that it's all going south. From like for our characters, things like visages of our past despairs, like that's happening at the end of the record, saying that we become exactly what we didn't want to, that we've seen over and over again throughout history and this futuristic history that's built up.
Is there like a lot of I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask you, is there like a lot of research that's involved? Like, are you maybe looking at film or literature or art or any other mediums as like a means of cultivating ideas?
Like for me personally, like, I mean, just what we see in our country today, all the effects of like the greed, like capitalism, like colonialism, everything over time. And I really enjoy history too. So like going way back, this is all over the world, these choices made off of hate, hating another person, conquest. And I'm just sitting there going, holy shit, we're just like hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years into human history and I haven't figured it out. Like figure out how to just like get rid of that. So goes back to some resentment of that fact there. So drawing from history, and then a bit with like things like sci-fi that helped as well, and also just knowing that we wanted to deliver this with a huge like cinematic effect. So we could draw that from movies, draw that from other like orchestral metal we've heard in the past that we feel like can just like sell the grandness of this and different things in the sound design. It's not just strings. Like Vikram Shankar is amazing. Like helped us, like we got across, like we wanted something else just besides the orchestra, symphonic orchestra, like some metallic sounds or like eerie sounds, things that kind of help sell those moods as well. So yeah, I guess like our influences over our lives to kind of help deliver that whole theme.
But in the end, because sometimes when a band like tells me, when I ask like how the making of an album is, and a band tells me, oh, we all mutually came together and it was all collective, like I don't really believe it to an extent, because you're in a band of 4 to 5 people, you all have your own different experiences, your different your different reasons behind what you do, your different sources of inspiration. Do you think that though maybe all of you being in your different worlds with your different experiences helps add like a bit of contrast to the material? Because I do see a lot of contrast in the Ice Giant music as well.
1,000%, yes. Like, we all kind of grew up in like slightly different backgrounds. Sorry, the words aren't coming to me exactly on like how to describe each of them, but like it's really cool to bring all of our perspectives together, and like it just so happens that we happen to have a similar range of emotions as far as the topics we're trying to tackle goes, but like with our different perspectives and different musical styles and stuff, that's where the big collaboration starts, because we can like bounce the ideas off each other and be like, oh my goodness, like like for example, I had a draft of Legacy going a long, long time ago, and it was like okay, like it wasn't like my favorite thing in the world, but I knew it had like potential, and so I just like gave it to Eddie, and I was like, hey man, just do what you want with this. And the draft that he came back with after that just fucking blew my mind, and that was really like the blueprint for what Legacy is today. And so like I just like the band is more than the sum of more than the sum of its parts. It's we do multiplication here.
My tongue was twisting as you were saying that. Like I was very impressed. I'm gonna name this episode that.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Like the only thing I can add to that too is that Liv and I have been through a lot of shit together, and like being like best friends in 2017, like it's really important for us to be able to communicate and just have that communication. So like I think we were constantly discussing themes and where we wanted those songs to go, where we wanted the concept to go. So it's like being really free with that communication really helped us get the like different like backgrounds, perspectives, but kind of came to a unified thing there.
And I have
And I want to just like, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to reiterate too, like, I just like I don't have many other friends that like have been through as much shit that Eddie and I have been through together. Like Eddie was one of the first people I told when I was coming out of the closet, and like, you know, I was terrified just because, like, as you do when you come out. And Eddie, I think your response was something to the effect of like, "Oh, so are you like happier now?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And he was like, "Oh, cool. All right, moving on." Like, you know, like whoa.
yeah.
I definitely see you smiling, North.
That's awesome. That's awesome. In terms of like the guitar playing too, because like when I watched you two solo together, like do any of you have a theoretical background? Because the music almost sounds like studied in a way. Maybe it's just because of how impressive the solos actually are, but like it almost sounds like that there is like a lot of like thought or theory behind it. And there's always one member of each metal band who's like the total theory nerd. So.
Well, guess who graduated from Berkeley?
So
it's become so apparent. Like, yeah, I graduated from Berkeley. I learned a lot there, but a lot of it came from before. I would like high school. I was in that AP music theory, trying to, and like I didn't have a natural talent for that, so I've had to work very hard. I'm always thankful for that because some of that phrasing is there, and then it was an extra tool to bring along. And like yes. That theory knowledge is there, but it's like this goes so much more beyond that, and the importance of like how to phrase and just like how this comes out. And like Liv didn't go to Berkeley, Dan our bass player didn't go to Berkeley, Alex didn't go to Berkeley, but like everyone has really good music theory chops. So it like it kind of just came together that we could play in the same key and do these kind of things. But I think we're just really good with our ears and try to let a lot of that come forward too in that phrasing. So like we know what's going on, but yeah, the theory is like a good tool to like make sure you're in the realm that you need to be in.
Yeah, of course.
And then you can just make those tools talk as much as possible. So
yeah, because in the end,
Liv might be too humble, but she knows some theory.
Well, in the end, this is rock and roll. So there's got to be some like sort of like rule breaking involved with that as well. So
yeah, and like that's basically what I was about to say, because like, you know, earlier I mentioned that like both Andy and I grew up on Judas Priest, so like that Glenn and KK kind of dynamic, like we got that, man. Like, you know, forgive me for being like a little cocky about that, but like, man, like it's I love like our guitar relationship in that sense, because like it always comes out to some cool shit. Like one of my favorite things to do with you, Eddie, is the Home for Eternity solo, because like we get to the end of this really weird, complicated song, and then suddenly it's just like, oh yeah, right, metal time. Like it's so cool.
It seems like the heartstrings are put together by guitar strings. So.
There you go.
I like man.
I just came up with that on the spot, and I had to make sure I did not end this interview without saying that. But
hell yeah.
But and the final question I wanted to ask you is being a band. I mean, I don't know if you technically classify it as a Boston band, but coming from Massachusetts. Which, P.S. I was at a Yankee game, and fuck your Red Sox for that ass kicking you all gave to me, whether you follow baseball or
Listen,
not.
no, we can end this interview right here. Fuck you.
It was 7-0 before I even sat down.
That's right, bitch.
But you know, as somebody who like is obsessed with like, you know, the Massachusetts metalcore movement from the Killswitch Engages and Unearths and Shadows Falls and whatnot, but like, you know, in today's day and age, you know, there's a lot of fantastic bands that have come out there. You know, Revocation was born out of Massachusetts, and as well as so many other kick-ass bands. So like, how has the current underground been in a way? Is there sort of like a scene that Ice Giant is sort of like affiliated with? or like any?
You fucking betcha, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no like official name for it, but like I have lovingly been calling it the new wave of Massachusetts melodic death metal, which includes bands like Averse and
out to them.
Seven Spires. Yeah, I mean they're
Love them
beyond
both.
the local
love,
scene now.
Love them both. I've seen them both, and
Yeah.
they're both kick ass. So
I actually just saw Seven Spires a couple days ago out at the Mad with Power Fest in Wisconsin.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And like Adrian and Jack like just popped in Berkeley about the time when I got there, so it's like it's pretty insane. Like all the folks that are still making awesome metal right now. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah. And then like there's other bands that like aren't necessarily like totally in our scene, but like adjacent enough where like the mutual support is just as strong. Like shout out Escuela Grind, Western Mass homies, who have the most relentless touring schedule that I have ever seen in my life. Man, like we like Eddie had a band before they disbanded called Vivisepulture as well that they played so many shows. They went on a couple tours.
I've seen them when they came to New York City, and I
think I remember you from Arlene's Grocery.
Yes. Yep.
Hell yeah, dude.
I was there. I've not forgotten that show. So.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's all to illustrate, like, we have a group of peers that are all, like, so incredibly supportive of each other. And, it's part of what makes, us so motivated to keep going. Because, like, if fucking, like, the music industry is hard, man. Like, no duh. But, like, it's like, I just love how, anytime you meet up with your friends who are also musicians, it's all just, like it's either empathizing or like tips and tricks on how to get around all the nonsense that we have to deal with, and then like endless congratulations on like the feats that we all achieve. Like it's so much love, and it makes me so proud to say that we're a Boston band, even though Eddie doesn't live here anymore. But
I was there for a while.
Yeah, you earned your keep for sure. Hell yeah.
Yeah, the message, like when I first got to Berkeley, like 17, 18, I was trying to start booking shows right away, and you don't have to go to Berkeley like to get the benefits of that scene, which like did so much more for me, and just having that community, the friends, and we learned so much of how to artist of craft, or whatever that saying is, but it's like, yeah, so many friends. I'm very proud of just like all the friends we made that are still making metal. And like the scene needs some help with the venue. Like there's venues that are still having great shows and going to have a great time, but like the more support that can be driven there, it's a beautiful metal scene there. And like bands like Shadows Fall, Godsmack, Killswitch, it's the legacy there is strong. So it's very cool, and we still like tour or do shows and have fun with those bands all the time. So it's a really cool community. Very proud to be in it.
Absolutely.
And like we boost each other to higher levels when we can too. Like my buddy Nick Petrino, he's he was in that band Sonic Pulse when they were still doing stuff. He's in My Missing Half, who's playing at our CD release show. But that motherfucker also plays for D. Snyder. Like what?
Yeah.
Like
I saw that. I've seen them play too, and they're very awesome as well. So
very cool. Hell yeah.
Well,
hell yeah.
I want to thank you both so much for your time. Unfortunately, I got another interview lined right up, but it's so...
You do what you do, man.
It was such an honor to have you both here. Again, I have not forgotten that performance at Brooklyn Meadows, so it's an honor to have you all here. Thank you so much.
Fuck yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. Like, this was really cool to be a part of.
Anytime. I appreciate your enthusiasm, as I've seen in your music and in your live shows, so excellent work. Everybody,
very cool.
We are here with Ice Giant, Ghosts of Humanity. Be sure to pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.
Later.